And now John Matthews, a former Dallas police officer who's the author of Mass Shooting, 6 Steps to Survival. CNN law enforcement analyst Cedric Alexander, author of The New Guardians, Policing in America's Communities for the 21st Century, and Bernard Kerik, former New York City police commissioner. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Listen, I just had the two brothers on, and I want to ask you, Commissioner, it was an interesting conversation. Again, I wasn't trying to be adversarial with him. I just don't understand why someone would carry a rifle to a big public event like that.
Because you wouldn't. I mean, it's an extreme lack of common sense. You go into an event like that, there's no purpose for it. Everybody understands you have a right to the Second Amendment. I get it. I endorse it. Great. But you don't go to a public event like that, especially in a circumstance where we've seen these events turn deadly. We've seen these events turn violent.
But again, it's their right. They're absolutely 100% right.
I get it.
Yeah, they're absolutely right. Okay, so John, you know, when we spoke last night, I want to ask you what you were hearing from your colleagues within the Dallas police force tonight. How are they holding up?
Well, let me tell you, everybody is deeply saddened. Our thoughts and prayers go out to those fallen officers and their families and the injured officers. And as I told you, we have a large department but a small community of officers. And when we have 5 officers fall in the line of duty, when we become the victims, I mean, we're hurting as a unit. I talked to officers throughout the day today that were out there, and Don, let me tell you, they were out there doing their job again. Despite everything that they had been through in the last 24 hours, they were still out there doing their job, protecting the citizens, but they were doing it with a heavy heart. And I heard from officers from across the country that expressed their condolences for the fallen officers here in Dallas.
It was hard for the officers to go to work today.
Yeah, it was. It was hard to see your friends fall, to see people that you work with shot, injured, and killed. And yet, you know what? They took an oath to go out there and protect the public and to serve the public. And the image that burns in my mind is I was doing an interview early this morning, and there was an officer that was working one of the traffic assignments, and you could tell he was beat down. But you know what? He was still out there and still doing his job. And I think that's the core message that I want to send is the officers and the heart they have to stay out here and to stay with it, even through all this adversity, is absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Cedric, as we just heard, the attacks against police officers continue today in Georgia, in Missouri, and Tennessee. How do these headlines impact officers who are working their daily beat every day?
Well, certainly it's very concerning for them. It's concerning for all of us because we want our officers to be safe, and we want them to be in a frame of mind and not be overly worried about their own welfare. But look, this is a dangerous profession, and as you just heard Matthews there say, they stay focused. They know they got to do the job. They go out and do it. And even here in DeKalb County, I got 1,000 officers here. My command staff went out, met with each one of them in roll call just to get a feel for them and see how they were responding to what happened in Dallas, and to ensure them and encourage them that we're there to support them. Myself, command staff, elected officials, and the community at large. And that's critically important, particularly in a time like this. But these threats that are coming about, what you're seeing is officers across this country, yeah, they have heavy hearts, but they're staying focused on the job. Commissioner,
we spoke about this when it happened back in 2014. The 2 New York City police officers, they were killed days after Eric Garner's death. Officer Wenjin Liu and Rafael Ramos were killed in a targeted attack. How does a force recover from a tragedy like that, keep going on and doing their jobs and going on, you know, when this is all going on at the same time?
You know what, Don? I had 23 cops I lost on September 11th. They were missing. They were buried. We had 41,000 cops at the time in the New York City Police Department, and every one of them wanted to be in that hole. Every one of them wanted to be digging. And they did. They did it with heavy hearts. My heart goes out to Dallas, to Chief David Brown. Unbelievable over the last 24 hours. The guy has probably not slept. He's done a tremendous job. These cops, you know, this is going to stay with them for a long time. But they'll get through it, and they'll go out and do a job that nobody else, a lot of people just wouldn't have the courage to do.
Yeah. All right, stay with me, everyone. I want to tell them that we're following the pictures in Atlanta, following the protests there, and also other protests happening across the country. One that showed you earlier in San Francisco, but this one in Atlanta is still going on. as we head into to the late hours here. We'll continue right after this. Don't go anywhere.
We're working on a large-scale operation, one of the largest cases